Drakelings are a new creature that's available for Ark Survival Ascended. They are currently available if you buy the Lost Colony pre-order DLC. The dev team has mentioned that they may be able to be purchased separately as a new fantastic team. Down the road, there are actually 4 distinct varieties of Drakelings. Following the seasons, we have a spring Drakeling, summer, autumnal, and wintry. Currently, most players are hunting these on the Ragnarok map, but because they've been coded into the base game, you'll find them on other maps too. The other maps in which you'll find them on are the Extinction map, you'll find the summer variant on Scorched Earth, they're also on the center, and they're also on the Astraeos map. Currently, I haven't found any spawn locations on Aberration or the island. The spring variant will be often found in the highlands of the Ragnarok map. I tended to find the autumnal variant more likely to be in the redwoods, but I also found them spawning in regular jungle biomes. The winter variant was more obviously in the snow biome. The summer variant I found in either the swamp biome, and I also found them in the desert biome. For the spawn locations for other maps, make sure you check the description of this video because I'll be adding them there as I find them. The Drakeling taming mechanic is quite simple. You need to attract the Drakeling to your shoulder, and then once it's on your shoulder, you need to gain one of 3 types of experience within a time frame in order to be able to passively feed it the food. You either need to get experience from killing creatures, harvesting items, or crafting items. This sounds simple in concept, but a lot can go wrong, so I'm going to give you a lot of pointers and tips so that you can perfectly tame any Drakeling that you want. We're not going to be doing any creative mode or cheats to make it happen. Exceptional kibble is the preferred taming food. However, you can also use mutton or prime meat if you don't have that available. Here is one of the best hints I'm going to give you. What I would highly recommend doing is splitting your kibble into small groups within your inventory, because a number of times when taming these, I got attacked by a pego which stole all my kibble and then I was not able to easily complete the tame. If a pegomastic steals 1 or 2 kibble, that's not a big deal, but if it steals a tack of 10 or 20, you get into trouble with taming. So split it in your inventory and drag 2 or 3 down to your hotbar at each time. Drakelings are small and very hard to find, so if you have the gene scanner, I recommend using that to help you find the ones on the map. The next item I recommend you bring is a torch. Once you've located the Drakeling that you want to tame, how you attract it to your shoulder is by equipping a simple torch. Once it lands on your shoulder, the taming process begins and you'll see a countdown timer of 2 minutes. It's going to ask you now for the type of experience that it wants. In this case here, the Drakeling wants harvesting experience. One of the best tools you could bring is a sickle and use it to quickly harvest bushes in the area. This works really well if there's lots of bushes in the area. If you have a higher end sickle, then the amount of experience you get goes faster with this one. Keep harvesting until the bar gets full and then you get the prompt to give it the taming food. A sickle doesn't always work well for taming a winter one in the snow. There's not many bushes around. If you're not able to harvest everything and fill up the experience bar, the Drake will fly off your shoulder and then you'll lose taming effectiveness. So I also recommend bringing a higher tier pick if you have one. I found that if you whack trees with a high-end pick just for thatch, that experience bar goes up really quickly. Also, if there's not many trees and there are metal rocks around, make sure you harvest the metal rocks because look at that experience bar go like crazy. Once the bar gets full, you give it the taming food as prompted and the taming bar goes up. Make sure you throw out the rocks and the metal that you get, otherwise your character will be encumbered for the next part of taming. If your Drakeling wants crafting experience, I've got a few really good tips for you right here. What I like to do is before I tame the Drakeling, I have a few pieces of wood, fiber, and thatch in my inventory, enough to make a few foundations. You don't want to encumber yourself, but have those ready because if it wants crafting as the first thing, you can just go into your menu, hit craft, and make a few foundations. I've found making about 3 triangle foundations on one times is enough to get the crafting requirement. Another thing you can do is if you're very close to getting the crafting requirement, or if you don't have many materials, is just to go in and craft cloth hats. You can craft these really quickly and excessively, and if you make enough, you'll probably meet that crafting experience. Another thing I really highly recommend you bring is focal chili. Focal chili does 2 things. It increases your crafting speed and it increases your movement speed, and I found this super helpful. The faster you can craft, the faster that XP goes up. The next thing it will want is kill experience, and now just a big one here, the kill has to come from the player itself. You cannot mount a creature to kill something. If you mount a creature with the Drakeling on your shoulder, it will fly away and you will lose taming effectiveness. So you have to kill the creatures yourself. For this very reason, I recommend bringing along a good high-tiered melee weapon if you have it, a pump action shotgun, bowlers to immobilize the creatures in your area, and a few med brews in case they fight back. Killing one large creature like a racer here gave me all the experience I needed, but I sometimes find this one the trickiest. Sometimes you are running around in a full panic looking for a creature to kill. That's why I also think the focal chili is amazing, because it does increase your movement speed, lets you search for those creatures that you need to find. Some other tips that I think you'll find extremely helpful are if you are taming a winterling Drakeling. A lot of the time, especially on Ragnarok, you are in the murder snow. It is very cold. Make sure you bring a fur set along with free curry to keep you warm so your player doesn't die during the taming process. If you're in the snow, make sure to get rid of any veil winds in the area. Whenever you pull out a tool to do some harvesting, they just swarm you and attack you and you end up dying. Another thing to note is make sure you do not enter water that is swimming depth while the Drakeling is on your shoulder. It will fly off, and then because it's flown off, you'll lose taming effectiveness. It's important to note that you must fill the requirement in the timing bar, otherwise the Drakeling will fly away. If it does fly off your shoulder, you can continue the tame, but just be mindful that you will lose quite a lot of taming effectiveness. If you're really struggling with crafting and getting the harvesting experience, you could try Broth of Enlightenment, but this is very expensive, so use cautiously. I hope you found the tips in this video helpful and it will help you to perfectly tame a Drakeling. I'm going to do a separate guide discovering each of the abilities and going into depth with that, so keep an eye on the channel for that one. If you really liked the video, you can subscribe for more or click on this awesome guide right here.